Alright guys, let's see if I can hear me. Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. You guys can hear me though, I just can't hear myself. I know why. We do have a tornado warning in effect now for Henry County, and our TikTok viewers have gotten a sneak peek of what I've been doing all along. But this tornado warning is pretty serious. My real-time Viper radar, I'll zoom you into that area. It's south and to the east of Martinsville. It's going to cross 58. We're looking at a lot of damaging wind potential that I've noted here. And that's that flashing area that you see. So very serious. We've also got, and if you can bear with me here, my mouse is being a little bit funky. See if I can just refresh that. There we go. We've also got strong winds up to Rocky Mount, very gusty winds, and the tornado warning again is flashing. But what I wanted to show you here, we'll make sure we've got all of our layers turned on, and we do. I wanted to show you my high wind product. So this is going to take into account the actual wind that's occurring right now in a straight line fashion and perhaps in a tornadic fashion as well. So the damaging wind is being added right now to what you're seeing on the air, and there you see it. What I can do as well is get rid of that, and I'm going to just take the radar data and make that a little more transparent so that we're not just looking at the radar, we're looking at the actual part that Viper wants us to look at here. So we have a kink in the line, and wherever you see a kink in the line, that's where straight line winds are starting to bow around and become more circular. So we do have that tornado warning for 58, and it goes into effect for quite some time. Notice in Rocky Mount too, I mentioned this because the lines moving through where you see these red areas, that's moderate to extreme straight line wind that's moving through Pinhook right now into Boone's Mill. So we've got a squall line, but whenever you see these areas of pink and areas of pink on the radar, and then you see kinks in that line, you know that you're dealing with some trouble there. So what we can do now is go back into our radar on the weather tap, and we will show you here. You can see more clear what I'm talking about. You've got that line through Rocky Mount, eastern Franklin County. This is in effect until 9:30, so for another 12 minutes or so. And we will read you the text of this. National Weather Service has a tornado warning for southern Pittsylvania County and southeastern Henry County until 9:30. The storm and possible tornado was over Sandy Level or near Eden, moving northeast at 45 miles per hour. Flying debris will be dangerous to those without shelter. You want to get into an interior room of a mobile home. If you're in a mobile home, you want to try to get into a ditch if you're in that area. Not everybody, but just in this tornado warning area. And it actually doesn't include Martinsville proper. It includes Davis Store, Axton on 58, Sandy River, Hinesville, Brosville, Vance, Aiken Summit, and Cascade. These are the areas right up to it looks like Highway 57 there, almost in the Franklin County, is where we're seeing the rotation with the storm as it continues moving through. It's clipping Danville. If you are in Danville, I'm watching more activity down across Rockingham County. And we've also got confirmed reports of damage here. Power lines down in Stokes County. That's where the storm came from. Another report of several trees that are down across Stokes County as well. We had a confirmed tornado, at least radar confirmed it earlier, into the Yadkin County, North Carolina area and going into Wilkes County, North Carolina. A swath of trees down, possible tornado in Wilkes County, North Carolina, 1 mile south of North Wilkesboro, and then also we've got power lines broken, power poles broken here. So we did have or more than likely a confirmed tornado down there. So it gives you an idea that this is not something you want to play around with. Again, it's moving up to the north and to the east, and the environment again is favorable. So let's go to our I'm going to switch your source here for you and show us the radar. And please, please, please share this out right now. For whatever reason, Facebook doesn't like it when I directly stream. It wants it more, I guess, authentic. But I'm telling you, please share this out and be a hero. A lot of the studies have shown that when you share or when you tell people, hey, tune in, you save lives. I did the same thing in the forest tornado. So here's the base velocity, and this gives you an idea of how that air is spinning. So we remember that the radar is off the screen here up into the Blacksburg area in the Floyd County. It's looking down in an area that will show radial velocity. So what we're seeing, the greens are going toward the radar screen. The reds are going away from the radar screen, and I'll highlight that for you now. There you go. There's your notch there near Broseville and Callens. And again, this is moving toward Chatham in Spring Garden, Gretna, Mount Airy, Volans. Mount Airy would be the one in Pittsylvania County. Again, it's missing Danville, but we're also watching some other activity that's trying to occur there to the south and to the west down across North Carolina. That'll be moving in very soon, probably within an hour or so. And then we have storms that are trying to pop up on their own. So let me take this and make it a little smaller so I can see the same thing that you're seeing. That tornado warning again continues now in effect. We've got an updated one. There we go. I told you it was hit at the Chatham, and I mentioned that if you tune into me, and this is why if you're like Rocky Mount has my weather updates at least through the end of May, but you're going to get an extra heads up. I'm not going to wait until the morning. I'll tell you what's coming. So now Gretna is in a new tornado warning until 9:45. Share. I can see the numbers here. You folks in Star News definitely watching this right now, and this is going toward Callens and Chatham and 29 near Gretna, and we've also got some kinks in the line around the Westlake Corner and Union Hall. If we look at the actual store motion and take that out into account, it actually doesn't look as impressive, but that's not really a true representation of things. What we have is a line that's got some embedded kinks in it, and it's trying to turn. So when I show you this is what's going on. Instead of being like in a straight line like this, what's happening is it's coming out in bows, and that's high wind. So we've got about 3 bow echoes that are occurring, and on the edges of those bows you can get something to spin up, okay? And on the south end near Wentworth, we can also see that we could see some things spinning up there as well. And by that I meant the clouds themselves will start to spin. What you're looking at here is an area where the radar beam is seeing a lot of change in wind with each sweep. And so it's highlighting that. Very calm winds show up in gray. So I look for this. I don't just look at just the regular radar that you have on your app or that you're seeing on television. I look at the actual data that the National Weather Service is providing. Here's the base reflectivity, and this also, again, shows you that kink. Kinks are not good. You've got one there, one bow echo. At the very least, you've got some very strong wind pushing in the Smith Mountain Lake with that water not really adding any weakening to it. The water's very smooth, and so you don't get a lot of frictional effects off of that. But this is a very, very dangerous storm. Let's see if we can find any debris, and we don't have any. We're looking for cranberry colors, and we're looking for within those cranberry colors, do we see any yellow? And do we see it in a defined area? And we do see some lowering here. You can pick out some oranges and yellows. That's possible debris that's being kicked up, or maybe even some small hail as well. If this becomes more of a circular area, you'll see this polygon turn purple because it'll be radar contained. But we do have, this is our hail indicator. We do have some hail in this. Our storms are pretty low top. They're topping out around 25, 26,000 feet. And there are numerous severe thunderstorm warnings in effect as well. Another product that I'll look at is the differential reflectivity. The brighter colors show me where it's raining because rain falls as a pancake shape, and the radar can see those shapes. If it's a circular shape, it's 0, and you see a big gray area, and you go into darker gray where you see ice crystals. Right now, this is a good area. This is a good product to see new storms that are developing. So look around Winston-Salem here, down toward Clemens in North Carolina, down through Mooresville. These are updrafts that the National Weather Service radar is picking up at about 8,600 feet. These haven't got down to the ground yet. At least the heavier part of that rain hasn't made it down there yet. So I'm telling you that around Statesville, Mocksville, and the Salisbury and Yadkin counties, you're going to see these storms intensify. You're going to see that intensify, and I can use this differential reflectivity, which shows me that things are getting lofted up. Big fat raindrops are being held up in the sky by a supercell storm. So we still have a very pronounced couplet. It's not screaming at me right now as far as anything that's concerning, something on the ground. There's some broad rotation, but it's just close enough. We also should keep in mind that we're looking at about 2,700 feet in the air. So we're not going to see the surface, which is the lowest 500 to 1,000 feet in the air. The radar just can't do that. It shoots over it because of the curvature of the Earth. But we do have possible debris and or hail right here. That's just to the east of Axton in that gray area. This is how much the radar beam is being bent. And melted hail and heavier rainfall and updrafts will show up in these green colors as we look aloft. And as we continue to go up into the sky here, we're looking all the way up to 8,000 feet now, and even all the way up to about 12,000 feet. We've got a very healthy updraft, and we also note it's got that curly comma head shape to it. Just looking at the rotation, you can see it's somewhat elongated, but it is there. And just to show you that we also have a severe thunderstorm warning for this line. This is the same line that could produce a tornado at any moment in Franklin County and in Bedford County, and for the rest of Martinsville, or not Martinsville, but Henry County and Pittsylvania County, and even into southwest Campbell County. This line has to move east. This severe thunderstorm warning is indicated for winds of up to 60 miles per hour until 10:15. And this is going to knock some trees down. These are some strong straight line winds. A lot of people will doubt the strength of straight line winds, and they think it's a tornado. But straight line winds can do damage just like a tornado. Bedford, Rocky Mount, Alta Vista, Hurt, Gretna, although in Rocky Mount the worst has already just moved through here. The worst is headed toward the lake. But we'll watch upstream later on tonight. But right now that tornado warning is the biggest concern that I have. And again, it's nearing the Callens area as well. So it's starting to actually look a little bit more defined. We're looking to the south now into Eden and in the Yanceyville. You notice all the severe thunderstorm warnings all the way down across North Carolina. These still have to move in the Halifax and Volans and Charlotte Courthouse and Lynchburg with time. And we've got this front that's a warm front that has brought in the muggy air. It also helps with convergence. Lots of lightning from this storm, lots of lightning there near that curl. And again, you can just visualize that curl. Let's draw it here for you so you can kind of see. There's your rotation. Okay, so within that, and then you've got another area here that isn't in a straight line. So we could have anything try to spin up in this area as well. but definitely the tornado warning storm is there for a very good reason. Now we've got that outlined. Let's look at the correlation coefficient. You can see some lowering there. It's not screaming debris to me, but definitely on the KDP, which is how much the stuff in the air basically is bending the radar beam. We can look at that, and then you see the comma question mark kind of look to things from Callens. That is a wound up circulation. That's a very tight circulation now around Callens. You need to be taking shelter right now in an interior room, in a basement if you can. If you don't have a basement, you need to get into your bathroom or a bathtub, put some helmets on, or get some pillows, blankets, and even a mattress if you can do that, and take shelter anywhere from Gretna to Chatham, most of central and west central Pennsylvania County. Also in the Danville, you are under a severe thunderstorm warning because we've got more activity popping up around Reidsville. Do you remember just a second ago we told you, or I told you, the new storms will be forming down here in North Carolina? There you go. So we were able to, just a few minutes ago, not see anything, but I was able to give you a heads up there around Mooresville, and look, it's popping up fast. So I look at all layers, and that's why I use Viper Radar, and that's why I take the training myself. And I love the folks at the Weather Service. I use their information, but I'm telling you that I do things differently for a reason, and it's to save lives and to get the message out. I went to school for this, and I've got the 30 years experience. I'm not trying to brag or anything. I'm just trying to assure you that I am able to look at the same radar data that the people issuing the warnings are looking at and give you that heads up. Watch out around Manita. I'm going to go ahead and think this lightning jump here near Manita and Smith Mountain Lake. There are several kinks in the line here. Storm relative velocities show the reds and the greens, but we can just use regular velocity, and we can see several areas that are jumping out in terms of possible rotation. Well, definite rotation. Possible tornado warnings coming out soon, probably for Bedford County near the Smith Mountain Lake Dam and to the north. You've got another weak little kink here. This is the main one, the main circulation. It's stronger, but it's wide. There's another circulation here, and this one around Manita is also concerning. There's also a weaker circulation near Westlake Corner into Bedford County. So there are several. Any storm that's moving through in an environment like this can quickly produce a tornado. And lately in our area, you look at the past several years, we don't get the small ones anymore. We get legit EF2s and 3s sometimes. New damage reports are coming in. We've got a tree down in the 2400 block of Philpott Drive in Bassett. We've got trees and power lines down in Henry County, the Dillon's Fork and Fielddale area. Just outside of Martinsville, we've got a tree down near the antenna to the industrial park and Barrows Mill Road in Nottoway and Martinsville. I suspect that Charles Rourke, my buddy down there, operating Star News, and you may be watching, you probably took a bit of a beating there on top of that hill there. Hollywood is at its movie theater. These additional areas of spin greatly concern me. Again, I'm going to let you know if I see anything that begins to develop. So here's the regular radar again, and again, it's mainly just the biggest concern is from Bedford down through Pennsylvania County, where that tornado warning continues for Chatham, down through Danville, and now into Winston-Salem again. Trees down in Forsyth County, North Carolina. Henry County, you're out of the tornado warning for now, but watch for flooding. We've got a tornado warning still in effect until 9:45 for the Pennsylvania County area. It's moving northeast at 40. And we're looking at Chatham, Gretna, Swansonville, Climax, and Chalk Level. There's a special weather statement in effect for 40-mile-per-hour winds and ponding of water for all areas, just about Blacksburg, Roanoke, into Botetourt County in that area. But the big concern is this tornado warning that still kind of looks very ominous to me. We just got a new scan in, so let's look at the base velocity, and it's tightening up a bit, folks. So this could be the real deal. Chatham, you need to be in your safe place. You need to be in a closet, an interior room. Close all the doors and just sit in the hallway if you have to, and duck down. If you can't do that, a bathtub with the extra plumbing will do the trick for you. And of course, get into a basement, lowest level, and you want as many walls between you and the outside as you can get. I know a lot of people live in mobile homes. They are not safe during tornadoes. You're almost better off getting in your car because your car has a roll cage that can protect you in a situation like that. But I have to tell you that that's not totally safe either, but it's better than being in a mobile home. In fact, a lot of the experts will tell you to lie in a ditch and let the rain fall on you. Just don't drown, but that's safer than being in a mobile home. And that's another reason why I want to work with Franklin County and different areas to teach the public this and to teach the first responders this as well. I do not like what I'm seeing here. I'm looking at winds of 63 miles per hour in the Manita area, and I'm also looking at very bright colors going into Bedford County here. So that's a concern. That's a concern. I'm live on TikTok if you guys need a different vantage point for whatever reason. Some people just have different ways of obtaining their weather. Need to get a power source to that camera. We've got severe thunderstorm warnings now for most of the area, and I really am surprised we don't have anything for Bedford County yet. But if you are in Bedford County, Virginia, particularly south and west of Bedford, you do have a severe thunderstorm warning. These storms are starting to spin as they approach the Bedford former town of Bedford, getting into Good as well. And there's that wrapped up system. You can see it as I put this into motion. You can see how it came out of North Carolina here, and you can see how it started to spin, and it's spinning like a top. The National Weather Service doesn't issue these big warnings that often, but this is a large severe thunderstorm warning for just about all of Lynchburg and Southside. Things are moving east at 50 miles per hour, and that includes Bedford, Alta Vista, Bethel, and that includes Lynchburg as well, and Halifax. You need to get into an interior room. Again, that's in the hallway or away from windows. The pipes will hold up in a lot of locations. Even in your shower, there's extra wall there with pipes. So they are calling this, they're not saying, and I'm a little disappointed in the Weather Service here, they have the option of putting tornado possible in their severe thunderstorm warnings, but they've elected not to. And they have their own reasons for that, but we're not going to go down that rabbit hole with them at the moment. Very intense activity here. It's time to go back to our Viper radar and show you what's happening there. So we'll go to our top right monitor. This is Viper radar, the same thing I had when I worked at the NBC station. There's Highway 29, and you are looking there at the damaging wind threat that continues for this area. Fast forward this, we should be getting newer data that's coming in. But again, that is a supercell storm that at least has a wall cloud. But not to be ignored, Viper is picking up on the high winds too, coming out of Manita and going into Alta Vista. We can show you the path that this took too. And we'll take the current conditions off. I do want to show you this because it definitely shows the picture here. Give me 1 second here. We're going to use something called future radar actually. So we're going to go into the future using an exclusive growth decay formula and see where this where these storms will be heading. And it's loading. So by 10 p.m. this is what Viper sees. Alta Vista, Lynchburg, and again, Timberlake here. This is exclusive information that doesn't come from a model. It's the radar data that's actually being processed through my Viper technology. And then beyond that, if you look toward 10:15 or 10:30, it's now loading that information. 10:30, this will be very close to Halifax and Brookneal, and moving have already moved through Danville, but also notice storms will continue to fire in North Carolina. So this is for the next hour and 15 minutes what Viper sees in terms of growth and decay based on the past track of these storms. They're blowing through in a real quick hurry, and that's just one of many things that we can use this for, that I can use this for to protect you from this bad weather. Viper not showing, however, any of these rotating cylinders quite yet. Sometimes it takes a second for them to get that on there. But if you look at the damaging wind path, and this is one of the things I wanted to show you, you can see how the lighter greens and how everything was moving out of the southwest, moving to the north. So we've got a history of damage in this area, several bow echoes, and this will topple trees, it'll break power poles, even without the tornado, okay? About our critical indicators on here, we're going to take off our damaging wind path. And we're going to use the National Weather Service storm tracks for possible tornadoes. We've got mesocyclones from the National Weather Service storm tracks. So let me put a track on this for you here. And I will need to move this a little bit further where you can see it. Just give me 1 second. Moving up to the east northeast, and in a minute we will get probably some updated information from Viper, because Viper has its own proprietary storm tracks. But this one right here, let's include everybody. So we're going to go from village to hamlet, and as we move through time here, you don't need that as much, but we are going to go through the city list real fast here, and you can see that on your screen. So as I advance it, you'll see the cone. That's where the actual center of circulation is, and in 6 minutes it'll be near Woodlawn Heights, Woodlawn, Oakland, Whittletown, Chatham at 9:46. You got about 4 minutes or less. Halifax Hills, Gilmer Terrace, and Hopewell. Those are all locations that are located in these dots right near Chatham. This is headed right towards you in Chatham. So you need to be taking shelter immediately. And again, lowest possible spot, and you need to cover yourselves with whatever you can. Have a safe place already ready. Now, there is also a new circulation that I mentioned. We don't have a warning out yet. We've got a severe thunderstorm warning, but also we've got this for western Bedford County. Blench Station in 17 minutes, Leesville there in 10 minutes, Browntown 8 minutes, Lakewood 18 minutes. We can show you the progress of that. There you see the cone on your screen, and let me kind of move that for you. You can see how it moves just very close to Alta Vista. So Alta Vista is in the path, Gretna is in the path of a storm, and the Chatham area is the most concerning that I can see as far as the potential track for something that would be very dangerous, and that is a tornado warning. The locations are still in a track for severe thunderstorm warning. However, it looks like the tornado warning has temporarily been allowed to go away. However, I can show you on my radar scope here that we still have a swirling picture here. This is from radar scope, and let me stop the image here. You can see that comma head there. That's just to the west of Gretna and Chatham. And again, it's moving up toward the Gretna area. So don't think because the warning may have expired that your danger is gone. It's going to cycle more than likely. And you could see another tornado warning become issued or get issued at any time. In fact, if I look at the actual severe weather radar that I've got through my GR3D information here, it looks like Chatham does have about 53 mile per hour winds going away from the radar, and you've got some greens there going toward the radar. If we take into account storm motion, we need to redo that, but you can see the spin is still there. I'm not sure I understand why the warning was removed, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you still need to expect a tornado in the Gretna area. Okay, Gretna to Mount Airy to Alta Vista. And let's see, what we're going to do here is we're going to place a marker, and we're going to let the radar see how fast these storms are now moving. And now we'll remove the marker and look at storm relative velocity. So this shows up a bit better. You can see the circulation there now near Chatham. There you have it. It's not going to weaken. I really don't think it'll weaken all that much. Notice that's right where we see a lot of lightning near Chatham as well. Mount Airy, Gretna, these locations, as you make your way toward Alta Vista, there's another kink in the line here. So any of these could become tornadoes or at least supercells, or they're becoming supercells actually as we speak. And there's another circulation that's developing around the Danville area, and you're under a severe thunderstorm warning that blankets most of the area until 10:30. Just about everybody's under a severe thunderstorm warning if you're east of that line. Looking at more reports of damage coming in through Martinsville, it's mainly trees down, but I am very, very concerned about Bedford, Alta Vista, Rustburg, Lynchburg. Keep your guard up because the tornado watch continues through 11, and conditions are still favorable for a tornado to develop. We're going to go and see if we can get our Viper storm tracks going here. And there you see, let me show you. Well, Viper doesn't have anything new at the moment, so what we're going to do is show you a little bit of a better image here. Here's the heaviest part of the storm, right near Highway 29 there, near Chatham and Dry Fork and Blair's. Here's the Danville area. It's moving in from the west and southwest, Rockingham County from Happy Home to Berry Hill and Beaufort, the western suburbs of Surrey Hills, and western Danville, Stokesland, Blackwell, Quick. These areas are under the gun. And again, in North Carolina here, you're not out of the woods quite yet around Winston-Salem into Rockingham County near Highway 311 into Ellisboro. There are new cells that are developing there. There's also an incredible amount of rain that's falling in the red, and there will be some flash flooding, you can bet, in some of these lower spots too. It's kind of a conundrum because you have to get down low to, protect yourself from tornadoes, but you also don't want to drown. And so in flash flooding, you head to higher ground. Now, just to show you the straight line wind damage, we do have a report of a tree blown down, at least one, near the Manita area. That was what we just warned you about before it happened. So you did get that early update. To the west, the rain's diminishing, but we do have new cells developing in Floyd County and Carroll County as well, where we've got thunderstorm winds that blew down several road signs onto vehicles. It took a canopy off a gas station, knocked down at least 2 power poles. That is some serious wind. So those big canopies, one of those was knocked over, several road signs knocked over into a car, and 2 power poles snapped in Carroll County. It's 3 miles to the east-southeast of Hillsville, between Hillsville and Woodlawn. And there are new cells developing in Floyd County as well. Please keep sharing this because the algorithm is going to keep punishing me for not holding my phone up here. We've got a tree down across 220 in Franklin County from these straight line winds. And in Roanoke, we've got power lines down. These are reports that have just come in the past, literally in the past 5 to 10 minutes. The call center there reporting power lines down at the intersection of Round Hill Road and Clarendon Avenue in northwest Roanoke. So even where there's not tornadoes, as I mentioned, just the wind alone is causing quite a stir here as we head into the next couple of hours. We're going now to, I wanted to show you this satellite picture. This is a look at the actual storm system, and I've got the clouds on. I've also got the lightning there overlaid for you. You can see the cells developing a V notch. That's when you've got lots of divergence aloft. So this is all swirling. You can kind of pick out the low down across Kentucky right through here. And if we were to draw that, it would be something like this. You'd have an area of low pressure. Um, I'm not sure if I can draw on here or not. Let's see. Yeah, I need to be on my, that's coming from my Apple. But anyway, you've got low pressure spinning, and I can use this at least. We've got lots of storms that are developing out ahead of this low. We're going to have more rain tomorrow and some strong wind as well. Lynchburg, you're about to be hit here. Let's go back to some of these other maps here that we're looking at. There's radars. Chris Manley says he's in the line. That's a good friend and a storm spotter. He just now reported to me via text. It's very hard with the wind and rain. I can imagine that it's definite hard time to say the least. There's probably going to be power outages. We'll look at those in just a second as well. There's the Gretna area. Now this is what I kind of want to show you here. In the Pennsylvania County. Let's look at velocity. And we're going to measure this. These are straight line winds. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger for you. So you've got 53 mile per hour winds in Pinhook, 52 mile per hour winds near Arrowhead, North Shore 52.6. These are what the storms are able to tap into, and that's why we've got power poles and trees down. 62 mile per hour winds, just a little bit off the ground there at about 5,000 feet. You can see a new wind damage report coming in from Anita. Let's see the call center there. Reports at least one tree blown down, but several others possibly blown down. And then as we look back toward Alta Vista, I still see a notch there. But I did just want to show you how these straight line winds are indeed strong enough to do damage. Once you get to 50 to 55 miles per hour, you're going to see damage. And when you get above that, you're going to start to see tornado-like damage, at least weak tornado-like damage. I don't like seeing weak tornadoes because a tornado is a tornado, but 60 to 65 mile per hour winds, and so that means if we have some slam into the ground that accelerates, and you could see up to 70 mile per hour winds in a few areas. So that is not good for you folks in Bedford County and in Bedford. I mentioned to you that it was going to be a rough go of it. Now, stay with me here. I'm going to show you some stuff, okay? We'll get rid of this tornado warning here for right now until the next one comes out, and I do think we'll see more. I lose viewers whenever I show this, but it is important that you see it. This is the kind of stuff I put on Patreon. This is a look at how much wind shear is over Virginia, and you can see that we've got 50 knots of wind shear. That's a lot of wind shear. That's why the bold contours exist through the area, and with time it'll move east. So in another 4 hours or so, it'll be in Richmond, Eastern Virginia. But right now, we're right in the middle of it. If you look at the multi-parameter stuff, and this is getting a little geeky, but here's the violent tornado parameter. This is a look at where certain ingredients, including rotation, but also including instability, moisture, everything, it's better than just the significant tornado parameter. It's more exact. You can see we don't really have high amounts, but the fact that we have any amounts in Virginia is significant. Now look here into the Carolinas there. You've got violent tornado parameters around 3 or 4. And again, it's kind of non-dimensional. The fact that you see it is significant. So it's rare that we see those numbers up into Virginia, but it's becoming more and more frequent. Low-level lapse rates, that's how stable the air is. It's able to rise from the surface, but especially aloft, I think we've got some very unstable air, although it's kind of settled down at the moment. Let's look at our microburst potential. We don't have anything showing up there. Our significant hail parameter is also kind of limited, which was a bit surprising. We had some dry air a little bit aloft. This is another look at tornado potential. The conditional probability of a EF2 or more tornado, EF2 or stronger tornado, and you can see how once you go from Roanoke down into the south side area, there's a bullseye near Raleigh. All right, and that continues all the way up into the D.C. area, including the Shenandoah Valley, Richmond, up toward Fredericksburg. That's a very serious sign. Instability. If we look at the lifted index, and again, don't lose me, don't go away here. The red colors are the 800 or 5,000 feet winds. The blue colors are aloft. And where they cross, you can see that we've got two different directions, and you can combine that with instability to get an idea of the tornado parameter here. Now, we have very weak instability, but we've got a lot of shear, and that's on my Patreon page as well. We call that Shreve, and you can see, look at these levels off the charts here. This takes into account the dynamics of the system, not so much the fact that it's not like 90 degrees. It's a cool, relatively cool system. We just have a lot of spinning, and this product takes that into account and shows me where the spin can overcome the overnight cooling. And so that's why we're still seeing tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings in effect tonight. Over the next couple of hours, it'll still be around, but in 2 to 4 hours, it'll start to shift into eastern Virginia and toward the coast. Note there's another area here down across Kentucky and Tennessee. We'll have to watch that for tomorrow as well. I know there's got to be some power outages around. You can see Franklin County here has about 895 people without power in that county, 707 without power in Montgomery County, and a handful there, a few hundred in the green areas. This will likely continue to go up as we go into the evening hours. Our storm reports are starting to come in via VDOT as well. They do a great job at showing us where there's road closures. We've got a vehicle crash there around Alta Vista. We've got around Timberlake a lot going on as well in terms of rainfall. I'm looking for the icons that would show me potential. Let's look at air temperatures. Air temperatures are up around 67, 68 degrees. Wind speeds are strong. In spots, they are gusty as well. We'll take that back off, and I will show you if there are any roads closed. They're going to pop up here. But sometimes it's you're the person that sees that. And so I don't see a lot of road closures just yet. I feel like it's because people have not ventured out, and I'm worried about the morning commute tomorrow. Certainly our firefighters are going to be very busy, so I'm keeping an eye on this as these conditions continue to move east and deteriorate in many areas here. You can see North Carolina's got a fair amount of power outages as well, especially in Wilkes County where that possible tornado was and all that damage occurred there. There's about 2,800 customers without power there. The amount of lightning and instability here that's coming into Franklin County now is starting to increase. This was an older image. Let me see if I can refresh this because I think that is old. Yeah, that's now moving into Lynchburg, Big Island. This is lightning as seen from space. But what I want to draw your attention to is the newer cell that's popping up here around Winston-Salem. You can barely see it, but there are some brightly colored contours here. The green and the yellow, that's a different formulation that shows me where the significant tornado parameter is highest. And so it is definitely moderate in our area, but as you move down into North Carolina, it's still there. So the key takeaway is that you can see the spin that's kind of occurring here. There's going to be more activity well into the night. We've got another hour for that tornado watch, but a new one may be issued with time. We'll keep an eye out there. Now we're getting new reports in from Pennsylvania County. Power poles broken. We're not talking about power lines down. We're talking about the breaking of power poles. That takes a lot of wind to do that. That's near Keeling, 4 miles north of Keeling. And we've also got some new reports out coming in out of Franklin County. One tree blown down in Glade Hill, at least, and another tree and possibly trees blown down in the Callaway area. And again, more activity, trees down in a lot of places across Bedford County, western Bedford County near Manita as well. We've got some wind damage that's non-specific to the southwest of Danville. It's important to look at these damage reports because this is showing us what these aren't models. You know, we look at actual data and we can get an idea of what the storm, what the setup is capable of doing with each storm. Guilford County, Greensboro, multiple trees reported down on Battleground Avenue north of Greensboro, and that continues down to Ashboro. Lots of clustered damage here across Davidson County. But I do think that you folks that have interest in Wilkes County, North Wilkesboro, from Taylorsville and Alexander County, North Carolina, it looks like there was a tornado that almost hit Murphy and moved through North Wilkesboro. So I'm not sure if any chasers are in that area, but it does appear to be the case. Happy to see that we still see some people on the social media sites. Just pardon me as some stuff falls here. I've got a phone that's wanting to fall for my TikTok viewers. Okay, let's go back. I keep looking at Viper to see if I see anything in terms of anything that's standing out at me. I want to go now to winds that the radar is seeing. Now at the ground, hey Heather, I will probably let you know. Yes, I'll let you know. If you want to join the Patreon, it's only $1. Just go to Jamie Singleton. But right now, I do this for free, and I pay for all this data in hopes that I can save lives as well. You can see that in Blacksburg earlier we had winds. This is the surface down near the ground, and they were out of the south, and then they turned with height out of the west-southwest. So this just shows me that wind shear, and it shows me the speed of that wind as well. The tornado watch continues in the yellow areas through 11 o'clock. The severe thunderstorm warning here in the orange areas off the Weather Service page anyway. That's in effect right now. And then you've got flood warnings and flood advisories that cover most of Roanoke, down to Wytheville and Mount Airy and Bluefield and Boone. That is for just standing water on the roadways. Okay, so that's another hazard that we need to watch as well as we continue to watch the storms that push out of the North Carolina and Virginia area. Let me go back to a high-res radar. This one has just about everybody's town on it. It actually shows where homes are. It's got some very good mapping to it. We're going to loop this just to show you that yes, there is still a curlicue. There's still rotation in this cell. So let me highlight that for you here. Right here. And that is right near Renan and Highway 501's here. Here's Brookneal. Here's Alta Vista. There is definitely rotation occurring, as denoted by the fact that we have that bookend vortice And that's indication too of straight line winds here. So locations near Cedar Forest and the Green Hill and Gladys, 501, you are next in the line. This severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for another 20 minutes. I think the winds could exceed 60 miles per hour whether they spin or not. And here's the wider view just so you can get an idea of what's going on. We've got a special weather statement for heavy rain and gusty winds through Covington and Lexington. Doesn't include Roanoke, but watch for standing water. But the actual low, what's yet to come is going to be trouble, I think, as we head into the rest of tonight. And I want to draw that and kind of pinpoint it for you. This system still has to get through the area, okay? And until it does, we'll be under the gun. The warm front is right here, so you've got winds that are, again, converging out of the north in that rain-cooled air, and you've got warmer air that's coming in out of the southwest. So right along this front itself, you have basically an enhanced potential for circulation and severe weather. And there's actually a second front that's off to the west that's going to move in for Friday, and that'll bring us wind and some showers with maybe some small hail in spots. It won't be a walk in the park tomorrow as well. But this Alta Vista cell still is spinning like a top. That's north of 40 as you make your way out of Gretna. And let me pop on the velocity here. This is high-res velocity that we're looking at. And most certainly, we still have a circulation there near Level Run and going into Green Hill and Cedar Forest north of Straight Stone. I see circulation there. I see the potential for a tornado, at least a wall cloud. So you folks watching me in, let's see, where were we at here? Campbell County. And on the Campbell County line east of Alta Vista toward Highway 40 and Brookneal, I'm watching for maybe a tornado warning to come out any second if this begins to wrap itself up. And there's no reason why it wouldn't. This is toward the radar. This is away from the radar. And these are still winds that are about 60 miles per hour. That's going to do some damage by itself. But when they turn is when you can get the potential for tornadic activity. And there are some notches here. We have a straight line, but within there you can see some enhanced reds and darker colors, and you can pick out even some of that down here as well, down toward Halifax County. So by no means are we out of the woods. This is a night where you want to stay tuned to the feed here and definitely relay your reports and everything to me and share away for people that are in the path of this. This is a damaging event. And if I put on my pixel query, we'll see that. I also want to show you here what's going on my other source. We'll look at the other bigger picture here. All right, so let's make this a little smaller. Bear with me here as you see a little bit behind the scenes. This is going to allow me to show you in a little more detail, I think, what's happening with the larger scale picture, and we can actually pixel query some of these thunderstorm warnings. So this is a 3D look. Expires in 21 minutes from Danville to South Boston, going into Halifax County. And again, we're still getting power poles broken, reports of that. And then in 6 more minutes, still around the Gretna area, you are under a severe thunderstorm warning as well. This activity, again, it's headed toward greater Lynchburg. It's heading into Halifax County. It's moving through Danville right now. And again, there's more activity down through Madison and a new special weather statement for 40-mile-per-hour winds near Lexington, North Carolina. So we'll zoom that out. And I showed you temperatures all the way up to 70 degrees on the front side of the system, making it very unstable. We'll go ahead and we'll get rid of those temperatures so it's not too confusing on you. And you can see all the damage reports as well. I'm going to erase those. We're just going to put this in motion real quick. just so you can get an idea of the actual system itself. So it really wound up today around that area of low pressure and moved in at a time where we had relatively cool air at first, but it was very humid. And then we started to see um, the wind become more of an issue here. I'm putting on some surface wind. I'm adding instability too. That'll pop up here in our redder color here in just a second. You see the reds and the purples, that's where the air is unstable. And where you see the glowing, that's live lightning there on your screen. And as we tilt it 3D, you can kind of see an idea of what's going on. We'll get rid of the cape just so you can kind of see south side. And notice the wording up here by another weather service. They've got catastrophic winds in their severe thunderstorm warnings. They have the ability to add some extra oomph to the warnings. Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. But you can see where the tornado watch is in effect in these red colored areas just to the west of Richmond. And again, that continues now for about another hour. But we've got more activity that's moving in to to central Virginia. So we'll erase the clouds and we'll just look at the watches and the warnings and the lightning there on your screen. And I'm going to pop up here. We're going to go to our settings real quick and our mapping, city labels, and we will go ahead and see if we can't get some smaller labels to pop up there for you. So you see Brookneal there's Phoenix. Again, that's the strongest part of the storm near Gretna and Brookneal, moving off to the north and east. Now I'm going to show you the actual radar, and we'll be able to watch this live as it comes in from the National Weather Service. So there you see the intense part of that storm. We're getting a new scan right now. So you can see that the storm does have 60-mile-per-hour winds with it. We confirmed that on our radar picture, moving up to the north and to the east. And my different sources that I use here on the computer, I have to kind of adjust them a little bit. The TV dork in me wants you to be able to see this as clear as possible. So we'll take our saturation down just a touch. And we'll take our contrast down too, where you can, well, maybe contrast needs to be higher in this particular program. All right, so you can see there Brookneal, it still looks a little bit hot, but South Boston and then the Clover. Watch out Farmville and Dillon, just east of Rocky Mount here. I think I've got a gamma issue. There we go. And we'll turn our brightness up. These color correction things are kind of odd. And just bear with me 1 second. All right, so Lynchburg now seeing very heavy rainfall and probably some strong wind in there as well. So we'll close that out. And you see it moving off to the north and to the east. We took off the color correction, and that's what we need. So the one warning that was in effect from Bedford to Gretna, where we've got that damage, is set to expire in 44.2 seconds, but we still have another 16 minutes to go for this particular line. that compasses Lynchburg and goes all the way into the rest of the south side towards South Boston and Danville. You folks in Virgilina, Clarksville, down to Stovall, you need to watch out for this as well. These storms mean business, and they are right along a front, and that's never good news because, again, the front does add to the spin. You may also notice that we've got this area that's kind of in green towards Hillsville and Roanoke. That's where the Weather Prediction Center has issued the possibility of flooding concerns. And what you're seeing right now, I traveled this area for the eclipse. West Virginia and into Ohio's had a ton of rainfall, and they're seeing more tonight. So a lot of flash flooding. You're going to hear about that tomorrow, more than likely through West Virginia. Now, new radar sweeps coming in. We've got new cells that have just popped up here. You see it live here first in Carroll County and in Patrick County. So again, we're not done. There's a couple other cells in western Franklin County. And then as you move toward the line, you can see the tornado watch that's in effect for the Farmville area in the Richmond. And let's see if I can get some info on that. Get it to pop up here. Anyway, that's in effect until 11 o'clock. So this is now looking at the actual National Weather Service radar. We'll go to our base velocity here. And this is what I wanted to show you, these bright areas here. So watch this. This is and if you know anybody in that area, again, if you know anybody in Lynchburg, Alta Vista, if you know anybody in Charlottesville even, Farmville, Keysville, Chase City, South Boston, in the Danville and Lynchburg, you definitely want to share this to them and let them know. Because what we're going to do is we're going to show you some of these winds. So it's wanting to do the other. Let's see, cursor probe. It may not be an option. There's a new, but we do have a new radar scan that is coming in. That's some 60-mile-per-hour winds. I know I have the ability to do this. It's telling me I'm not. We've activated our live scan, but these are winds that are in excess of 50 to 60 miles per hour as they move through this area. "56 miles per hour is the speed." I just really was hoping I could do what we call a pixel query. And I can do that on Viper. I just thought maybe I could also do it there as well. That's okay. You get the idea. It's strong wind, very strong wind. And even if it's not turning, the fact of the matter is it is turning, doesn't mean that the threat is over. Not by a long shot. So those are 60-mile-per-hour winds, and again, that's all relative to the radar there. So we'll go on back to our reflectivity, and you can see the higher amounts of rain and potential hail now nearing South Boston and Clover. This is moving on off to the east at about 50 or 60 miles per hour. And I bet there's something here that I can use. I've got lots of tools. This is a work in progress, but basically it allows for me to have a lot of the same graphic capabilities um, as what I had at other stations. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at a better color palette here for you. So it shows up a bit better. You can see that we're picking up on some hail here, 20% chance of large hail from Pittsylvania County. Martinsville, you're okay now, but again, watching these other cells that are moving on through the area, still a lot of straight line wind damage that we're seeing in here as well. There is an updated radar scan. So again, we get these scans as they happen within seconds of when they happen. It's definitely an advantage to you to watch this and see it. You can also see the tornado watch extends down Sanford, North Carolina. And again, the bigger storm system is still way off to the west here. So the main system still moving off to the east, but at a very quick pace. So we're going to get a, let's see, severe thunderstorm warning, hail threat. Let's see if you can see it better there. Radar indicated. Max wind gust of 60. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to manually track this. And you just give me 1 second here and I can give it a shot. Want to manually track. Oh, I think it's over here. Yep, it is. So it depends on lots of things. Um, the way these programs are written, they move them around on me. So I'm going to draw a manual storm track here. And we need to do a line, a path. There we go. Okay, it's kind of working. We're going to get it. Don't worry, we're going to get it. It's being mean. I shouldn't have that. So we can do some of this, based on what we've got from the radar. You can see there Lynchburg, um, Blacksburg, which is another spot, I guess, out in central Virginia, and Harrisonburg. These are some times of arrival. Let me do it for this particular cell. Again, that's using its own information. I would rather use, there you see Madison Heights. I would rather use my own data, but you can see a new severe thunderstorm warning has just been issued. For the rest of the area. That includes Buckingham County. That also includes Keysville, Clover, South Boston, and Clarksville. We've got a special weather statement in effect for Henderson and Roxborough, and another cell that's prompted some concern down across near Roxborough, down through Durham, North Carolina, and Hillsborough. That's a severe thunderstorm warning there as well. Now, why this won't let me draw without moving? I know you're getting frustrated, and I appreciate it. It's odd because I was able to do this not too long ago, and it may not be possible in this beta release. Anyway, you do have the picture there. Let me increase the brightness there a little bit. So that's for Southside. If you've stuck with me, I appreciate it, because that was a little rough. We do have new cells popping up around Rocky Mount, by the way. As I mentioned, we are still ahead of the main front, so we've got a new cell right near my house that's popping up, and we'll check that out in a second and see if it's spinning. This is the bigger picture, and you can certainly see how things are continuing to evolve. The main line is starting to move east, but the other areas that I'm concerned about are starting to fill back in off to the west. And heavy rain again is a big concern. Here we have a brand new scan coming in. Again, as I get these scans, we will be able to show you those. Yeah, take the cells off there, and we're going to look at storm relative velocity. See if that pops up. There we go. And that's just a lot of wind that's occurring here. So I'm looking at 65-mile-per-hour winds. I'm going to need to turn this off. So now I've got this where it won't let me end it. All right, so what we're going to do is we'll switch back over here, and now we're going to look at our radar scope and see where we see a lot of wind, and we'll measure it that way. You guys are troopers for staying with me here. 58.2 miles per hour, and some of this wind 57, all the way up to 50 to 62 mile per hour winds still occurring in this line, as we now have the biggest threat for severe weather in Buckingham County, Appomattox County, no stranger to tornadoes. Also in the Halifax and South Boston, you are now under a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible. That's impressive. That was what I was saying, that should be the case from the National Weather Service there. And we are seeing some kinks in the lines, but we are getting to this area where the Blacksburg radar and the Raleigh radar and the Wakefield radar are all going to have to see this particular storm from their vantage point for us to get a better idea of what's going on. It looks like Wakefield is down, but if I go to the Raleigh radar and we look at their velocity, it gives us a little bit of a better idea. Now the radar's to our south, but we can indeed see that we do have some rotation here. We've got some there around Brookneal and some broad rotation near South Boston and Halifax, also in the Appomattox. This is a line, but again, along it is where we're seeing all of the kinks and everything. Here's the actual reflectivity from that area. This is looking from Raleigh. Look at all the damage reports that we've got in and around that area. So certainly has been very busy, and it will stay very, very busy, I imagine, as we head into the rest of the evening hours. And so we're not out of the woods yet. You folks in Richmond, too, will want to keep a very close eye on this as it continues to move in. Let me show you weather tap right now. And this can be a very helpful radar here as we zoom that out and we move a little bit farther to the east. Now, this is looking into Charlotte County and Brookneal, where we do have some broad rotation. And again, you're seeing some new damage reports coming in too around Dry Fork. We've got a tree across some roads there. We got all kinds of wind damage reports from this. So a lot of wind, Appomattox to western Charlotte County, going into Halifax County. That's the area under the gun right now. As we zoom out, you can see new cells that are forming that aren't as strong, but they may be encountering their own lift. And certainly if we look at the top left here, some of these parameters, a little bit hard to see, but you can see that Franklin County is right here. Let me go up here. Here's Franklin County. Here's Roanoke. And what I've got on the screen, well, there's a whole lot of things. Let me turn each layer off. This is just the cloud cover, and you can see the colder cloud tops in purple that are around the area. We've got lower cloud tops, but still some significant cell activity popping up to the west. What we're going to do is we're going to overlay some information. So if we look at the lowest kilometer of the air and look at where we still have the potential for turning, we do have a bullseye there right around the Martinsville and, well, not Martinsville, Danville to Pittsylvania County and the Charlotte County. And it levels off a bit as you head farther to the west. So that's the lower kilometer 1 kilometer there that we like to look at the most. Violent tornado parameter, according to the program I'm using, really starts to go up here out of Caswell and Person County going into the reservoir there. In Mecklenburg County, we've got this cell that could spin because it does have a favorable area. The violent tornado parameter is highest in North Carolina with values of 6 to 3 to 4, and lower values now to the west. So it looks like the NRV in Roanoke may be okay now. However, as the night progresses, we'll have to wait and see what happens. The air's pretty worked over from the earlier storms. But note how far north this goes. The violent tornado parameter makes it all the way up in the Orange and areas almost up in the Winchester and just to the east of Lynchburg. This is concerning to me in North Carolina, but parameters have to encounter storms for you to realize the actual weather that they are implying there. You've got a significant tornado parameter of 0.5 in south side. It goes up to 1 in eastern North Carolina. And again, some people are bored by this, but I tell you, it's important that you see that. And try to get just a black and white satellite here so that these values stand out a little bit better to you. We're getting new data in right now. Just got a new run of information. This is just coming in. How much CAPE do we have? How much energy? We don't have a ton of CAPE or energy, but we do have 500 to about 750 joules per kilogram. Again, that's low CAPE. We get better CAPE, more juice to the atmosphere. It's fuel for storms, and we have to combine that with wind shear to get tornadoes, or at least supercell storms. If you look at the CAPE in the lowest 3 kilometers, you see quite a bit of it. Supercell composite, again, that's going to show up in blue, and again, it's elevated. You want to keep an eye out for this cell right here that's producing those white clouds going through Halifax County and the Charlotte County and Appomattox. It's raining, by the way, to beat the band back off to the west, but this is the biggest concern that I have in terms of just looking at where all this overlaps. So let's look at the effective storm helicity. That is turning with height. You see that 450 and 400 there. That also indicates high potential or relatively high potential of spin. And then as we show you the violent tornado parameter on top of that, we'll get rid of the helicity and we'll get rid of some of this other stuff we were just looking at. Again, you can see that's crept north into the Virginia area. So I don't think we're totally out of the woods at all. This is the regular significant tornado parameter. And again, those values of 2 or 3 are nothing to take lightly. So we're going to put on the mid-level water vapor, and this also highlights that area where you see the storms occurring right into the area of maximum churning with height and things of that nature. We're going to show you now, I'm going to go back to my Viper, which doesn't show a whole lot at the moment. But it doesn't mean there's no threat out there. What you can see is the main line of storms now from Lynchburg. We've got some flash flood and flood warnings in effect. The cold front has made it to about Pulaski, and so that's some good news. But we still do have a ways to go before we can get this system out of here completely. And it's neat. The Viper technology I have allows me to pull up archive data when I'm not too awful busy, and I can train on that and learn as well. So let's pop this back up. And again, that's that severe thunderstorm warning there that we've got. We can look at the path of damaging wind. And again, this will show us. We got to play that. This will show us basically how much wind we had and how it really moved across several counties. It's going to take a second to load. Look at these red areas are flash flood warnings in effect for our poor folks into West Virginia. And we've got our future radar now that's going to give us an exclusive look at what happens at 11 o'clock p.m. Farmville to Cumberland to Scottsville, Chase City, and Halifax. More storms near Rocky Mount, also around Eden to Danville. They may not be severe, but they could be strong. But that certainly is using growth and decay to show that this will continue moving east and hold its own as it approaches Highway 15. This is at 11:15. This is a forecast based on growth and decay. It's exclusive to the Viper technology that I use here in my work office here, my home office. So we advance this up to 11:30. You folks near Crew and Blackstone will want to watch this line as well. And of course, Richmond's not too far away. We are heading into the night where wind's a little bit weaker, but you can see the lighter greens here through Gretna and Rocky Mount. This was an area that was certainly hit hard by some very powerful straight line winds that have knocked down trees. And again, we're still looking at the possibility of some of this spinning up here as this continues to kind of load for me and go back in time. We had a lot of spin occurring in that area. Let's use the National Weather Service tracks for mesocyclones. And you can see that the Weather Service is actually picking up on rotation again in southern Franklin County. That would be around Rocky Mount at 11:12. Ferrum in 18 minutes. This is not a warning yet, but it's something to keep an eye on. Hay Run, Barfoot, there you see it there, Rocky Mount at 11:12. As I advance it, the colors, the cone will get darker and you'll see everything highlighted. So I'm watching that cell right there, southwest Franklin County. Somebody said their son was evacuated from his campsite where he's working because of the warning, and that's a good idea, especially when you're kind of out in nature and you don't have the data. Flash floods can kill, and of course tornadoes do their thing too. So that was a good call by the officials at that campground there. Here's a cell in Patrick County that we're looking at. Meadowland in 4 minutes, Kibler, Dobbins, Vesta, Cruisastora, Buffalo Ridge, and Woolwine. That's in Patrick County. A lot of folks follow me there, and we've got a new cell popping up there. I don't think it's as strong as what we had earlier, but we still want to watch that. Now, as you move east, to the line I'm watching right now, the heaviest indication of rotation right now is occurring in Appomattox itself. And let's see, it's showing me at potential hail. And it's also, we're going to go to some other locations, just like we did in Franklin County. There you see Appomattox there. I'll zoom in a little bit more. Pamplin and Dillon. We'll advance this for you here, and we'll show you some of these other dots that are locations. This gives you an idea. Vera, Hollywood at 10:53, Toga by 11:03, Andersonville at 11:06, and Wood Center in the path of that cell, and that one will probably hold its own at least. I'm starting to not see as many of these green areas that are highlighted for damaging wind, and I think the reason is these storms are moving farther east. So what we need to do is we need to switch radars just to see if we can get some more information here. So we'll go to our single site and we'll go to the Wakefield radar, And we'll see what we can have pop up there once the data loads. And I'm definitely streaming and using about all the data I can, so it's taking its sweet time, unfortunately. But we do have an increase in lightning out across that area. I think that's working. It's just too far away to pick up. Let's look at the Raleigh damaging wind. There we go. Okay, so now we can look at the darker green areas is where there's the potential for high straight line winds. And you see the severe thunderstorm warning now for South Hill, Crew, and Blackstone in the Farmville. Again, it wasn't 5 minutes, 5 or 10 minutes ago, I was telling you to watch out for those locations. Again, you get the warning because I train on the radar and went to school for this, and I can tell you what I think, and I'm not afraid to voice my opinions, and sometimes I get criticized for that. Sometimes I don't. But my main mission is to keep you safe. So now in South, well, really from Halifax to 58 to 15, down to the Carolina line, Virginia to White Wing, Heightsburg, and High Hill. Those are the dots that you're seeing there near Clarksville and near the Kerr Reservoir there. Great fishing, lots of water and bridges out in that area. Averred in 18 minutes. So this is a dangerous storm that has some high wind associated with that as well. And then if we move back here, I'm still looking at the fact that we've got some rain filling in at least, and a lot of flash flood warnings in effect through this area. Speaking of flash flood warnings, we can look at how much rain has fallen in the area using the Viper exclusive estimates here. So let's go to severe, and we will go to barren tracks to see if anything pops up. We're also going to go to, if I can find it here. There we go, total accumulations. So this is how much rain has fallen. And with storms, you do get weaker rainfall. You know, you get weaker rainfall out through here. You see Roanoke there, it's got about half of an inch to an inch. But look at the Charleston area. And we can pixel query that, because there's going to be some washed out roads, I'm sure. That ground was already saturated. So it's rained 3 inches in West Virginia there. That's near South Charleston, West Virginia. And it's a lot like Roanoke. Charleston, West Virginia is in kind of a bowl. Lots of hills and lots of bridges. Between 2.5 to 3 inches of rain has fallen in that area. The highest amount I can find for our local area in Virginia, 1.98 inches, 1.27 inches in the Hollins area, and very similar amounts throughout the NRV. Some areas avoided the heavier rainfall, but still got hit by the possible tornadic activity, where just 1/4 of an inch of rain fell because you were in the updraft region that produced the tornado. Down toward Bristol, 2.2 inches. And again, I do feel pretty confident that we had some kind of tornado, unfortunately, in Wilkes County, North Carolina. So we'll clear that off right now. We'll take a look at the other layers that we can show you. And we will start with our high-res radar and our single site damaging wind profile. Watches and warnings. It's also important to look at current conditions, our surface analysis, we're going to put up lightning, barren storm tracks, and critical weather indicators. Now we're going to adjust some of this. So that you can see a little bit better what's going on here. Tornado watch is in yellow on this particular map until, again, another 9 minutes. It may be extended. We'll have to wait and see. We are getting later into the night, so overall the threat has kind of gone down, which is the good news. And the hail path. We didn't have a lot of hail today, but I'm sure your car, if you just bought a car or whatever, you're probably okay with that. Strongest line of the storm again continues in a fashion that is producing straight line winds from Halifax County down through Lexington. There is a flash flood warning in effect for Roanoke, I believe, or at least a flood warning for high water. And the strongest of the storms are now pushing into the Farmville area. I'm going to look at my regular radar here. So this shows you the green area that the Weather Prediction Center says, we want to watch out for heavier rain and flooding. Now, in the red area, this is the tornado watch that remains in effect for most of central Virginia, but not so much the Roanoke Valley area. Roanoke, you're okay for this event, it looks like, but we are seeing that line continue to push through. So here's some locations on your screen, and it's a little bit hard to see here. I made the font a little too big on this particular computer, but there you go. Through Clarksville, Farmville, South Hill. This is another separate cell, and you can see basically what they've done is they've shaved away the tornado watch. But within that tornado watch, you do have severe thunderstorm warnings, which are in effect. Tornado possible here through Mecklenburg and getting up into central Virginia here, moving east at 35. You've got another severe thunderstorm warning. It's in effect, that remains in effect from the Blacksburg office here. This is for the remaining counties of all of Charlotte County and most of Halifax County up to Appomattox County and Campbell County. That's in effect until 11:15. So not too far from now, this will be east of the area and we'll be okay. I do want to point out that the Charlottesville area still has the tornado watch too. It's in effect until 1 a.m. And I believe the rest of this watch is going to now go to 1 a.m. as well. So they're adjusting for the fact that it's getting late, it's getting close to 11, so they're extending it by a couple of hours. They being the Storm Prediction Center in combination with the National Weather Service there. Just some storm reports again to kind of go over with you here. The font's big so you can see them there. Bedford County, at least one tree blown down by thunderstorm winds. Same near Glade Hill. Roanoke's had some power lines down. Franklin County's had some damage as well. And if we look at earlier in the evening where we had the tornado warnings that were in effect, this will load on up here. Right through here, this was a confirmed tornado. It's actually showing up as a tornado emergency. This was, well, it wasn't an emergency. It was a confirmed tornado there in the black. That was issued at 7:17. So right between 7 and 8, we had lots of reports of damage down in that area of Wilkes County. So folks down there are cleaning up. And you can see how that same cell then moved into Mount Airy. We had a separate tornado warning that was in effect near Statesville, Iredell, and Catawba counties into North Carolina. And then that was about 3 hours ago. We'll advance it, and you can see the cells kind of weakened as they moved into our area, but we still had a few warnings that were issued for Southside, as this area does often see some of these storms as they come out of North Carolina. And you can see the trail of damage with these particular storms. I think it might be wise to go to our radar picture off of GR Earth. And again, a lot of times I'm analyzing this as you're analyzing it. So we're getting up to where the rain's filling back in Franklin County. Some of that is very heavy, and it's even filling in behind the cold front. The energy is yet to move through, but the majority of the really bad stuff is in that front leading line. Let's look at base velocity. This is out of Blacksburg. So again, we're overshooting any tornado here. So let's see if we can get a better vantage point from the Wakefield radar. This area is in between basically all the radars, unfortunately, because of the curvature of the Earth and fact that the beam gets wider. You're actually looking at the mid-levels of the air when you look at a radar, or when you try to look at your app or whatever out of Farmville and Charlotte Courthouse, because Blacksburg cuts off around here, Wakefield cuts off here, Sterling cuts off near Charlottesville, and Raleigh cuts off just to the south. So it sits right in between you folks in Charlotte Courthouse and Lunenburg and Crew, Farmville up to Goochland. You sit right in between most of the radars. As luck would have it, the Wakefield radar is out of commission at the moment. That's why my Viper's not picking up on the wind potential. It still needs the data coming out of the radar to do that. But we can see, if we look at storm relative velocity, we do see some rotation here near Boynton, Chase City. This just moved across Virgilina. I don't see any correlation coefficient that's showing up. I'm not seeing much else, probably because of the distance from the radar site. There's a new cell that's popping up near Henderson in North Carolina. Just to give you an idea, there's your rain. And again, we're looking from Raleigh, so this is the Henderson cell. I'm looking at it at 1,700 feet. And then as you go up into our area, Virginia, central Virginia, you're already up at about 5,000 to 6,000 feet. So it becomes very difficult to see anything going on. But I certainly see around Clarksville, I do see a notch here, a little bit of rotation that's occurring here. So I'm going to draw that for you folks that are watching on TikTok and other areas here. This is toward. This is away. So there's some circulation there near the Clarksville area that would be nearing South Hill, Chase City, and 58 there. So we want to keep an eye out for Clarksville as well. It's not in my immediate area, but I am going to do more on YouTube and on TikTok as this becomes more of as I become more regional and national. Let me look at the radar out of DC, because we have storms up there too, and sometimes it's just useful to see what we can. And so we do see the greens here, but yeah, you do also see that rotation in some of these cells. Broad rotation, mind you, but Prince Edward County here, you see wind blowing away and wind blowing toward. And I know it's green, but when you look at it, the actual storm motion, You take that out, and you can definitely see the green and the red because it's all moving toward the radar. We're subtracting the storm's initial motion here and showing you that there is rotation around Farmville, although it doesn't appear to be in a good spot where I can really see anything more than that. Just a lot of lofted hail, and we're looking all the way up to 14,000 feet. So there's a mid-level swirl. There's a mid-level mesocyclone that could get to the ground with time. So that's why the tornado watch is in effect until 1 a.m. for these areas. Charlotte doesn't have a weather service radar, but they do have a airport radar, and that can sometimes be useful in seeing some other products. I don't know if they must not do the velocity products, but you can see these new cells developing around Greensboro where we've got a lightning strike. So I will watch that area too, and all of these flash flood warnings. Let's look here real quick. Emergency management's reporting 3.5 inches of rain and probably some rock and mudslides. Saw several when I was traveling through there earlier. So we've also got a flooding issue for our neighbors in West Virginia, and some of it's not neighbors. They watch the stream here. It's cooled off down to 51 in Craig County. That's the good news. But again, these storms coming out of Volans and Halifax, where the radar used to be, still mean business. And they still have some notches of spin. The Weather Service will likely try to hold off as much as they can because they don't want to create false alarm. But there is indication to me, like right here in Buckingham County, south of Toga, near Farmville and Prospect, I think Sacs to Williamsburg, Chase City, you have a possible storm that could eventually produce a tornado. All right, so you're right on the threshold, and it could come out of any of these areas of rotation tighten. I'll show you the big picture again. So this is from the National Weather Service. This is a satellite picture. And again, it shows the swirl. It shows the situation that we're dealing with. You can see the new development in between Martinsville and Danville. There's let's see, this is the Martinsville area. This is Danville. So there's some new cell development here. This is the big line. And this is colder air that's coming in. And it's getting colder at the surface, but aloft it's even getting more cold. So we have to watch that. Now, again, I'm going to go back to this radar because I wanted to look at Viper real quick. And we're still at 65, and 58 dew point is pretty high. Look at Danville to South Hill, almost 71 over 64. That's definitely some balmy air. What I was talking about just a second ago, see this new cell there? It's popped up on satellite. That's near Greensboro. And I don't see any big rotation with it yet, but it's there, and it's been developing around Thomasville. So these little things have to be watched as they fill back in tonight because the energy is still way off to the west. The front, by the way, has now made it all the way to Culpeper, and this area near Tappahannock and Saluda, Williamsburg, and Orange will have to maybe watch for something to spin up. But the lightning is increasing here. let's go ahead while we can and show you a three-dimensional look at this storm. Probably don't do this as much as I should. So it's low topped, but it is developing, and it'll update into 3 dimensions as well. I've got different vantage points saved. Starting the tower up at about 20,000 feet or so, and there's a look at the velocity. And I can make it stand out better. But right now you can see that's beginning to tower up. We're able to see inside of that storm. Let's see if I can find another cell that really has its act together here. I really wish Wakefield had their radar working, and I know they want it working too. See if I can pull something out of another spot here. We'll give Sterling a shot just to see. So there's that strongest part of the storm I was telling you, near Buckingham, and some rotation. It's becoming more straight line wind, also picking up on some ice aloft as we're hitting this in the mid levels of the atmosphere. Echo tops are getting a little bit more towering into the sky. It's a sign of storm strength, the higher the clouds. And we're at about 30, let's see here, at about 30,000 feet. I wanted to make sure I had that right. All right, so let's do this again. We're going to look at this Buckingham storm. It may not look that impressive, but this does have advantages when we're able to show you some of these storms that develop. Very low topped, so that's some good news. These aren't like screaming tornado or screaming supercell to me. But again, we don't have good radar coverage at all out here, so that's a problem. Raleigh, I think we've got new storms down across North Carolina. I know we've got the one south of Greensboro, and so this is some excellent data that we're seeing out of the Raleigh area. And we've got other activity near Morehead City. Just for you folks watching on TikTok and on YouTube, a special weather statement there just to the east of Greenville and Washington, Vanceboro. Just wanted to show you how these cells look when we look beyond just the regular radar picture. So these are more defined. You already can see that. We've got a harder edge to these, and they're towering up at about 31,000 feet. And there I've got kind of the core of the storm. You can see it in the middle. It's hidden by the lighter rainfall and the cloud cover, but you can certainly see the shear that's created with this storm. It does have a bit of a look to it that would indicate the wind shear, obviously still interacting with this storm. So the fact that you see the top blowing off there on the right side here, you can see how it towers up and then spreads out at the tropopause. Spring's an active time because you still have cold air aloft, but you have warm sunshine that occurs. And believe it or not, I can actually adjust the lighting angle to make this stand out in different areas. This is particularly sometimes in tornadic storms you can actually see the wall cloud, almost the tornado sometimes. But this is in eastern North Carolina. This storm is continuing to develop and tower up there. So if you live, there's a normal view. Eastern North Carolina will tilt that for you, and you can see that that's starting to pop up right near the New Bern area, but north toward Washington and Eddington. If we can get a little bit closer to home, I would show you. Now tornado warning in effect. And once again, I think this is the third or fourth time tonight I've been able to tell you that before it happened, that I was watching that storm. And we do have a tight circulation near Vanceboro, North Carolina. Let me get a storm vector motion. Bit of a curlicue here. We're going to place a marker. We're going to go back up, and we're going to get storm motion from that marker and look at storm relative velocity. And you can see there near Vanceboro, it's right in through here. There's some orange and green. And if you look at just the regular velocity, you can see the notch is right in through here, okay? There's also another circulation around Pinetown. Let's make sure we are okay in Virginia. So far we are. But near New Bern now, we do have a tornado warning in effect. And I don't see any debris just yet, but we do have lofted updrafts that are a sign of a healthy storm. And that's why we'd also have a severe thunderstorm warning out for Portsmouth in this area. But what we're going to do is really hone in on this area. I believe my Viper will pick up on this one better than it did due to the radar outages here that we had. So while you look at that, what I'm doing in the background here is going to links to show you a little bit more out of the Carolina area. Single cell ray, single radar site selector. So we're going to go with MHX for Morehead City. Now this is in North Carolina. Look how long that polygon is. That's pretty impressive. So we still have the storms, and believe it or not, you go all the way down to New Bern in North Carolina, and the radar can still see the tops of the storms in Charlotte Courthouse. And in fact, near Chase City, we also have a strong storm there. So it may not be a bad idea for me to look at Raleigh one more last time here, because again, I mentioned how things can change in a real quick hurry. Looks like we do have a concentration. The key is co-location. Do you have rotation where you also have lightning, where you also have enhanced areas of spin and reflectivity? Do you have a notch there? Do you have a strong towering cell? And we do. So we definitely have a strong updraft here. We've got some very high KDP values right there near Chase City. That's a area that's somewhat populated. If we look at our Google Earth imagery up underneath this, but again, we're using the Raleigh radar. It's still there. There's something that's trying to go on in Chase City with that particular cell. While you're looking at that, I'm going on my radar scope here on my iPad because I can pull up the terminal radar from the airport in Raleigh-Durham, and that is quite a bit closer than the actual Raleigh radar. And I'm going to try to pull up some reflectivity here. Don't have the velocity data yet. Let's see, there it is. It's just out of reach. Let's go to the Raleigh radar. All right. So we'll send this back to, we'll put this one on Blacksburg, and we'll look at the, we'll continue to look at the Raleigh radar as you see it now. I'm going to keep you here until I see something popping up on the Viper. But Chase City, watch out. Lunenburg, Boynton, you need to watch out as well. And we've also got activity that's back building back through Franklin County, but the air is a bit more stable. So that is some good news, at least for most areas, Roanoke and West. But for Southside, it is not good news. At least extreme Mecklenburg County, extreme southeast parts of the area. Bit of a bow echo too, it looks like. It really could have used the radar out of Wakefield today, but that's just the way it is sometimes. This is a bow echo from what's that, Plymouth down toward near Pinetown and Windsor. I can guarantee you there's some very strong wind in that. Now, since the radar is south of this, the winds that are blowing perpendicular to the radar are not going to show up that much because the radar is only able to show you radial velocity, not actual velocity. So actually, well, that's from Raleigh. But if we went down to New Bern, we wouldn't be looking at the same signature. It would be quite a bit different. So we're going to go to New Bern right now. And you see the notch there near Vanceboro. You also see a couple other notches there near Pinetown. And again, the updated imagery keeps coming in there. It looks like it's just moved north of Vanceboro, Chocowinity and Washington, west of Aurora in North Carolina there. These cells don't have to be particularly strong. It's kind of like, it reminds me a lot of a tropical air mass when you get, these spin up tornadoes that can happen there. So we were just watching that area. Also, again, new development around Wake Forest into the Raleigh-Durham area. We need to keep our eye out on that area. Let's just check and see if Wakefield's back. I doubt it, but a couple other damage reports coming in from Appomattox County. We're just telling you, just this fresh new information. Tree down on Spruce Drive near Railroad Lane in the Pamplin area, and also in the Concord area. Lots of tree damage reports coming in. And it's right here, that Fort Mitchell area. Let me smooth that out a little bit for you here. North of Chase City in the Lunenburg, this little spot right here is where I'm concerned at the moment if you're talking about our local area. And you see an enhanced area where the beam's being bent. You can see 30,000 foot tops to that. So let's see if we can go 3D on this and get anything. It's going to be hard to Hard to show, but you can see a bit of a tower there. I don't see too much in the way of anything that's really strong getting up into the storm. So at least from the radar standpoint, it's not showing me a lot. That can be a dangerous situation. Just remember the tornado watch continues for eastern areas until 1 a.m. Look how the back edge is filled back in now. So we've got new storms that are now developing all the way back through Rocky Mount and through Lynchburg. And again, I want to emphasize the lightning is really concentrated here in this area. There may indeed be something going on in Lunenburg County there. So we'll continue to watch that very, very carefully. Heavy rainfall, I don't see any. I see a wind shift line. You can see that there. So I'll watch that just in case something, spins into the night. There's definitely a demarcation area, right? This is divergence where the green's going toward the radar screen near Pinhook and then out the vista. It's going away from the screen. And again, let me teach you something again. This is differential reflectivity. So you want to look for raindrops that are high up in the air, past the freezing level. Okay? So all of this that you see on the screen right now, all of this is with the radars picking up. Okay? It can look at a flat object and tell you where it's flat. Basically, rain doesn't fall as a circle, it falls as elongated pancakes. And when that's the case, you get more activity in this axis here, and you see the brighter greens and reds that show up. Okay, when you look up well into the cloud, you see negative areas because ice crystals tend to stand up straight or they tumble down to the ground, and your values are near zero. And there's the on the left side right through here, there's your color key. All right. So when you go up to the reds and the oranges, that's rain that's been lofted into the atmosphere. So if we're looking for new cell development, where are the new storms developing? And are they severe? This is what the Weather Service will a lot of times use, and it's proven right with these cells in North Carolina because I used that myself to forecast more storms, albeit not severe but strong. Not too long ago, a couple hours ago in North Carolina. But you can see here Yanceyville. See that? This is at 5,600 feet. And the freezing level, let's find out where that's at. So then we can take a cross section of that. And we'll look at and if you see this, let's see. You see these lines here. I believe the freezing level is, well, we're going to find out because I'm not sure. I remember. I know that's the dendritic where ice crystals will grow. Look, we're going to look at an actual weather balloon here off the monitor here. Just give me 1 second. Go to forecast tools, and let's see. Greensboro sounding showed me that the freezing level is at right around just a little bit above 5,000 feet, close to more around 9,000 feet. So it's right. There's a thin yellow line right here. I was making sure it's right. That's where the freezing level is. If the raindrops don't have time to freeze, it's because the updraft is pushing them up, and that shows us that we've got a very strong updraft. So we are seeing some strength to this particular updraft, um, where we see now that's ice crystals because of the gray that are aligning, and you can actually predict lightning this way as well. And snow especially, they'll start to orient themselves a certain way. But the big uh, bright colors are big fat raindrops that are being pulled upward into the sky above the freezing level. And instead of freezing, it's super cooled because the updraft is so strong. And so it's a good indicator of hail. It's a good indicator of a lot of things. We can also look at where that radar beam is being bent, and that can give us a measure of how heavy the rain is, if there's melted hail or anything like that. Don't see anything that jumps out at me on that one. But here's the actual, reflectivity from it. We can look at everything in 3D and all kinds of different things. So severe thunderstorm warnings continue now for Blackstone. We'll put a track on this one. Maybe. I really like WSV3, but I tell you what, sometimes it's really hard to. There we go. All right, so you see that continuing to move through the watch area. The tornado watch is in, and it's a watch in effect until 1. You've also got severe thunderstorm warnings for Farmville and South Hill. We can tilt that a little bit for you so you can see these times a little bit better. 11:37, it will be near the edge of the South Hill area over the next 10 minutes or so. And that's the most dangerous part of this. But we can see severe thunderstorm warnings out in yellow that continue to pop up. Now, if you go down across North Carolina, again, that's a different situation altogether, where you've got a bit of a lightning jump here, and that storm's moving off to the northeast. 11:48 p.m. Getting up, closing in on Roper here the next 12 minutes. That is a tornado warned storm, and you can see the blue cell there. So over the next 5 to 15 minutes, it'll be moving in closer to Plymouth if it maintains its circulation. And we do have circulation, of course, in that area that I'm watching for you very carefully for you. Let's see. We'll go back to Viper. And I know hopefully, if you're bored, you're bored. Nothing in the vicinity of Roanoke, NRV, or Highlands other than just rain that's filling in. But from the foothills, Patrick County to North Carolina, and to Henry County, Franklin County, and other areas, we still have a lot of rain to contend with here. Let's see, we'll do our top right so we can look at our Viper. And you see the tornado warning there for Washington. And I've slaughtered that name earlier. You can also see the cloud lightning there. And then the orange, that is areas that are in a severe thunderstorm warning. Again, the redevelopment is going on back to the west, providing more rain, probably a noisy night before this whole front starts to move through. And, I can expand it on out here, and you can see the entire system moving on through the area. But I wanted, for my viewers on YouTube and other areas, I'm trying to grow like Ryan Hall did. He certainly made things seem very real, that you can indeed do what I do and make a living off of it. But it's hard to do. It takes time. It's not picking up on too much wind. This is using the Viper technology now. We're going to use the mesoscale detection from the National Weather Service then. So we're going to go on in now on Viper. And this is probably here. I'll use this cell. And we'll give you some areas if you're in North Carolina to watch out for. Let me shrink this down some for you. Can't say enough about Viper. It really is extraordinary. Go to their YouTube page or whatever, and they actually have their own algorithms, and they've been proven right more than once. They were out of the South. You know, they're out of Birmingham, and that's an area that's no stranger. The guy's name is Bob Barron, and that's Barron Services that I work with. I'm so happy to be with them again. You see it moving up to the north and to the east here. So if you used Washington as the starting point, Hoke, Henson, Jamesville, Dardens, and again, if I advance this, you'll see it shade there, and you'll see the places pop up. It's pretty much right where the National Weather Service in New Bern put out that warning. A lot of cloud-to-cloud lightning in the anvil of the storm, and we've got another cell that's rotating there near Edenton and North Carolina as well. And that's the tornado warning there that we've been looking at. So let's go on back. Just so much flash flooding. Let's look at some of these reports for our poor folks in Pittsburgh. 68's closed. Route 422 is closed. Route 20 at Folsom is closed. Report of a whole hillside coming down on Binghamton Road. That's in Marion County, West Virginia. '18 flooded, just all kinds of roads flooded through here. 2.5 inches of rain, 2.3 inches of rain. Again, this fell on soggy ground. Trailer park underwater. That's horrible news. Oh my goodness. That's in Wetzel County, West Virginia, around Morganton. Also in Pennsylvania County, lots of flooding. This area has been through it. Turn on the radar here for you, just so you can kind of see things, and we'll advance this from the past 6 hours. And I need to take off the radar. It's trying to fly by. Okay, this is trying to loop way too fast. Let's see if I can get that changed for you. Now, this gives you a look at the overall storm system, how it's evolved, where the heavier rain has gone, where all of the damage has been. The triple point is a point where the warm front meets the cold front, and that can initiate spin as well. And that's kind of what we had there in Wilkes County, North Carolina. So there's still going to be plenty of rain to be had, and plenty of wind as well, and still a tornado chance off to the east. And before I'm going to sign off here in a minute because there's not a lot going on in our area, but I do want to show you kind of a better vantage point of rotation that occurred today. And I meant to show this earlier. Um, we can quantify the spin, and you can see that we did have a track through southern Franklin County there of rotation. And that moved on through and produced the straight line wind damage. Um, and you can put this in motion, and you can kind of see down here North Wilkesboro where they had all that damage. And we'll hit play, and the radar rotation should show up here. There it is. Bright colors. And look, it's the damage out of North Wilkesboro is right where the radar saw that spin. And then you had a second area of even more intense spin that ended up taking over here going into the Jonesville area. But all the light poles and everything around North Wilkesboro, that was the bad stuff. You can see how this polygon, the way I do polygons, a tornado warning was I put them up in red. If it's a confirmed tornado, it's in purple. And that was in Surrey County there. But you can follow these tracks, these 1 hour rotation tracks, as they move through the area. Then you see another one around Yadkinville. So you had 1, 2, 3, 4 areas of defined rotation that we can, again, we can quantify that. And it shows us also the straight line winds that pushed through Rocky Mount, southern Franklin County earlier this evening at about 8:30, where we had tornado warnings in effect. You can see the path of those winds as they pushed on through the area. So this is a good tool to use in research, but it's also a good tool to use for ongoing weather that's happening right now. So let's go down across North Carolina. And by the way, all this shading is the significant tornado parameter, which we know is up. But we'll go ahead and just for the sake of being able to see stuff, we'll delete that. But this one has a very Washington and North Carolina near the Jewel there, near New Bern, just to the west through Vanceboro, Washington. This is a past hour of rotation, very well defined here. And you had some other areas that tried to get going around Wake Forest, but didn't quite do it. Don't forget, we're missing radar data out of Wakefield, so we're kind of limited. There was another area just west of Morehead City that moved in off the coast of rotation. And this is a current image of spin. So this is current rotation right now. This is the actual radar picture. And now if we look off to the west, because I want to tell you what's coming, we'll use our water vapor imagery. And that's a loud looking map, right? Well, I'm going to kind of show you here. We'll get rid of the warnings and the watches and all the other stuff. And we're just going to look at the radar and or really, I don't know, I don't think we need the radar for this. I want you to see the energy that's on the way for tomorrow. So there's two lobes of it. Let me go ahead and put this in motion. And I'm going to overlay the heights basically in the mid levels of the jet stream, so you can kind of pick out the dips there. So you've got this big upper low near Detroit, and you've got one wave of energy that has moved across Virginia tonight, and within that you've got a second area that isn't showing up yet, but between Minneapolis, Chicago, and St. Louis, there's a second area that's going to dive down into this trough and give us more showers tomorrow. So it's not going to clear out. And if it does, we will see clouds by the end of the day as that second area of energy moves in. And now I've overlaid it. So you can see the one area of energy there in the orange, the second one near St. Louis. And a lot of times in winter weather, this stuff gets taken for granted, but it can become something that kicks something out of the area or combines and forms more upper lows. So there's more energy diving, which means this upper low is going to keep us kind of chilly and very windy for the day tomorrow as well. And there's your other information. I'm hoping you like this because honestly, what I'm doing tonight, I'm kind of testing the waters a little bit and figuring out who I want to cover, where I want to cover, um, and all that good stuff. Which product, which areas do I want to put my um, radar on? Do I want to make it a national thing, only on only on Patreon, or do I want to put stuff on YouTube as well, or how there's so many possibilities. I just got a trial that lets me post to multiple platforms. Let's look at a computer model. This is interesting because a lot of the models you get on the internet, they are automatically cropped for you, and or against you. If you want to see high resolution data, you're kind of out of luck. But what I can do here is I can zoom in to certain areas. So we are now looking at the new zero Z run of and this is what you get on Patreon, by the way, uh, from the NAM. So if we go through time here, you can see how the rain moves on off to the east. We still have some lingering showers. Now, this is at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Probably some high wind in here as well. Now notice the second area of rain, it's moving in for your Friday. So this is Friday at 2 o'clock. And this is going at the 4, 5, 6 o'clock time frame. You see more showers pushing through. That could be locally heavy, and it'll have some cold air aloft. So we could have some thunder in there, but nothing like severe. But there's definitely more wind, more clouds and showers that's on the way behind this. The second area moves in. Let's zoom it out for our national viewers. You can see how that storm moves up the coast. New York gets storms tomorrow night, or actually tonight by the morning, and then a second lobe of energy comes in and brings some chilly rain. I don't see any snow anytime soon, except on the back edge of the system up in Canada there. So that's pretty neat. We can look at the HUR and see if it has a different interpretation. By the way, this is what I do when I'm not on the air and people wonder, what's he up to? This is what he's up to. All right, so this is right now. And the HUR did a very good job of seeing this as it moved through the area. That moves again on towards Richmond and Northern Virginia with time tonight. By the next couple of hours, dissipates, see some rain behind it, and then our second area of energy comes in from West Virginia, out of Ohio, and moves through Kentucky, coal fields into Charleston. This is 3 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow. By then, we'll have some strong heating, so it wouldn't surprise me around Pikeville, Bluefield, and areas around Roanoke to see some pop-up storms that could be locally heavy. And I think the biggest threat would be gusty winds and some small hail because of the temperatures that are coming out aloft, kind of on the cold side there. So that's one model. Are others. It always amazes me when somebody says, "Well, I don't need a professional meteorologist. I can look and see the weather app," which is usually the GFS. But even if you look at the Euro, sometimes you need to look. That's one out of about 175 models. Um, and you can read between the lines as to who I'm talking to there. Temperatures, of course, kind of get colder. But then next week they're going to start to warm up. You can already see that happening by the 15th. If we go to the GFS, it will really start to warm up on us. More lightning. Just had a lightning strike 2.8 minutes ago. Wires down across the area. Tornado warning has not no longer in effect for North Carolina, but this purple area is highlighting severe potential near Elizabeth City, and there you see a track on that through Virginia Beach by 12:05 to 12:28 on the other side of the bay. So watching the possibility of a tornado there, and also watching these lines as they continue to kind of move on to the east and out of our immediate area. And really praying for our folks in West Virginia who they've seen so much rain and they've got more on the way. Next week it's looking kind of dry, and I'll have more of that on my Patreon page. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button, and please know that I actually do have. Well, now I have everything ready to go. It took me a second today, but I've got the exclusive tools that you're going to want when a tornado warning gets issued. That nobody else has, especially in the streaming world. And I am eating that cost, but I hope to break even one day. So if you can help out in any way, I appreciate it. And help out just by watching and sharing. That's the thing. Take care, everybody. I'll post other updates as I get them. I appreciate you watching and staying with me through all this. Richmond, you're still under the gun. Norfolk and Hampton Roads under the gun, and watching some remaining showers and storms, but of less intensity into the night, and probably some significant flooding ongoing through West Virginia with high wind expected tomorrow. High gradient winds. In other words, the sun may be out in spots. Regular wind, not non-thunderstorm wind. Basically, is what I'm talking about. All right. So I appreciate it, and lots of folks on TikTok. That's surprising. Thank you all, and we'll see what happens out of Wilkes County if we have any damage pictures. I'll be in contact with folks there. I appreciate it, guys.